Hey there, Life Groups. This is a Life Group Bible study for week beginning Monday, the 11th of May, 2026. And we're in 1 Corinthians 15 at the moment. And I opened my message by looking back to what Dave preached on, where he unpacked the resurrection of Jesus. Then looked at an Old Testament story where the Israelites were commanded, when they received the land that God was giving them, to bring in the first fruits of their harvest, both to thank God and also in joyful expectation that the rest of the harvest would come. And I showed in 1 Corinthians 15 that Paul picks up this idea in verse 20, but Christ has indeed been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. Paul here links the resurrection of Jesus to our resurrection, that for those of us who are followers of Jesus, we will receive a new resurrection body. And the message was titled this: Let's revel in our coming resurrection. And we looked at chapter 15, verse 35 to 58. And we saw that our resurrection body will be new. Just like we put a seed into the ground and a plant comes up, it looks different. So when we die, we will eventually receive a resurrection body that will be glorious and new, linked to our current bodies, but new. And then we saw that our resurrection body will be splendid. We looked at the Artemis astronauts and how they were overwhelmed with the glory of creation in space. And we saw actually our resurrection bodies will be beyond the glory of the creation that we can see now. They will be splendid. And then we saw that our resurrection body will be like Jesus' body. And we looked at Jesus' resurrection appearances and saw how some people didn't recognize Jesus straight away, and also saw that he had these kind of amazing abilities within his body, but that also he was flesh. He ate, he talked, he connected with people. And then we saw finally that our resurrection body will be eternal. We looked at the Hail Mary film and saw the difficulty between the imagination of an alien and a human living together, and the complexity of that, and how Jesus needs to make our bodies eternal so that they can cope with the eternal kingdom that he will bring upon his return. And then we saw, well, what should we do in response to this? Well, we should sing. That's the worship song within 1 Corinthians 15. Let's worship him for this. And let's stand. Let's not give in to legalism or sin. And let's serve Christ. Let's use our bodies to serve him. So here are a few questions for you from 1 Corinthians 15, 35 to 58. You might like to read that scripture together first. And here are some questions. When you think about your death, what emotions or questions come to mind? Why do you think many Christians imagine eternity as souls in heaven rather than resurrected bodies in a renewed creation? How should the promise of bodily resurrection shape the way we use, care for, and think about our bodies now? And how does the certainty of resurrection motivate Christians to persevere and serve? Hope that's been helpful for you and you enjoy looking at that scriptures together.